about function operations and compositions, and we're going to look at add and subtract functions. So let f of x equal negative 2 x to the 2/3 and g of x equal 7x to the 2/3. Find the function composition for the following function operations, then evaluate the sum and difference for the given x value. So the first thing says we're going to take the function f and we're going to add it to g. So function f in this case is negative 2 x to the 2/3, and we're going to add that to function g, which in this case is 7x to the 2/3. And because we have like terms here, our x's are both to the 2/3 power. So when we get that all said and done, negative 2 plus 7 is going to be 5x to the 2/3. And then if we're thinking about the domain, there's nothing in this function that is limiting the domain. So our domain for this, we can be all real numbers, or we can say in in interval notation, negative infinity to infinity. So if we look over here, we have f, the function f minus g. So negative 2 x to the 2/3. And in this case, our operation is minus. And we're going to subtract the whole function, 7x to the 2/3. And if there were two terms inside this parentheses, we'd have to make sure that we distribute the negative to both terms, but there's only one term there. So it's negative 2 minus 7, which is equal to negative 9x to the 2/3. And again, there's nothing in this function, nothing in this function, nothing in this function. None of these functions limit our domain. So the domain for this will also be all real numbers, or in interval notation from negative infinity to infinity. And now we can take a look at C. And C is basically, we're just going to take what we did up here. We already did the math. We said f plus g, and now we're going to evaluate it when x is 27. So we've already done this part right here. So we're going to have 5, and then we're going to substitute our 27 in there. So the first thing that I would do is rewrite this so that it's in radical form, because that will help me out a little bit. So 5, and then the 3's down here, so that's cube root of 27 squared. And cube root of 27 is 3. So 5 times 3 squared. So that is equal to 5 times 9, which is equal to 45. And again, for the example D over here, we've already calculated f minus g, and we figured it out was negative 9x to the 2/3. So negative 9, and then we're going to substitute 8 in there to the 2/3. And so again, I'm going to rewrite this, negative 9, and then the third root of 8 squared. The third root of 8 we know is 2, So negative 9 times 2 squared, which is equal to negative 9 times 4, which is equal to negative 36.